Gentlemen, welcome to the Mike Files, 52 miles east of Coyote, Wyoming. Today we have the man, the myth, the legend, the inspiration behind the show, Mr. Charlie Caperton. Without this man, I don't think I'd ever started doing this thing. He talked me into it. So, you know, it's a great relationship that he and I have, and it's a real pleasure to have him on again. It's been quite some time, Charlie.
Yeah, huge honor, Mike.
Oh, no, the honor's all mine, my friend.
Listen, we have riffed for
Oh,
several
man.
years over stuff, and
I know. It's crazy,
we have
man.
commented on social media, and our comments sort of resonate one right into the other. So,
I know if there's anybody out there that I don't know. I mean, sees things the way I do, and it's funny with our backgrounds.
oh, I know
You know,
our
I
backgrounds
mean,
being polar opposites.
right? But
Still,
we still see. We're looking through the same lens, I think. But
exactly, exactly,
so what do you
exactly.
got going on? Doing
Uh,
taxes?
yeah, tax
Yeah,
season is in full swing right now.
right.
It started. Apparently, the IRS is now accepting them. So, if
Yeah, I
anyone
filed mine.
if anyone is in a position to get their taxes or want to do their taxes, do them now because the sooner you get them in there, the better you are.
Yep.
But don't sell yourself short on getting those deductions, especially for the self-employed. I'm telling.
Everything's a write off for me.
Oh, exactly.
Everything's a loss. Everything I do is a loss.
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it all is, man. I mean, it's like
That's how you do it. That's how you make money. Why do you think the real
you
estate
have
game is
to.
so big? Because
Right.
everybody is like they're taking a loss on everything. Doesn't matter if it's a rental property or
Yep.
commercial property. Everything's a loss. That's how
Yep.
it is.
It doesn't. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. I'm really proud of the show. I'm seeing bits and pieces. I'm sending them out.
Sweet, man.
I'm putting you in the Twitterverse.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and
Right
change my
there.
camera right quick because my other one's lagging out here on me. I'm
That's
just
no
gonna.
big deal.
I'm just gonna. It'll be seamless here. I'm just gonna just change up here.
Hey, there you go.
There. That's a little better. Oh,
Yeah.
that other thing. I'm just gonna turn this other one off because that thing was just messed up. Yeah. And off that one goes. There we
Amen.
go. I guess I could
So
use this one. This one's a 4K camera, anyways. I use the other one when I've got two people in studio, but when it's just me,
there you
there's no
go.
point in it.
There you go. So things are going good, huh? The podcast is sounding good,
Oh,
man. Every day
thanks, man.
I listen to you faithfully or watch
Oh, I
you on the
appreciate
tube.
that, brother.
One of
And
the two.
before we go anywhere else, I got to give a shout out to the Broward County Sheriff's Department because
Yeah.
you said
Yeah.
those guys down there have been listening, and I appreciate that very much, fellas. And
Yeah.
you guys are killing it down in Florida, regardless of what anybody has to say. Florida, I think, is a beacon of hope in this country right now. It's the way I see it. I mean,
Oh,
you know,
agree. Agree.
DeSantis has bucked the whole way. He stood tall. You know,
He's making a name for himself. And I think
wasn't
he's
it
making his
funny when
name that
AOC went down there and got COVID and was sitting there drinking an
right.
hour
Sitting
man.
there without a mask on. Her and her man. Hey, you know what?
Oh, oh
I'm
man,
glad that they went to the Sunshine State. Because if
yeah,
anything, that just proves the hypocrisy that we
it
see in
does.
politics. And it's
Right,
not just on the left. There's plenty on the right too.
it's everywhere, man. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. I mean,
They're all just a bunch of snakes, man. You
that's
know,
that's part of the problem with politics itself. You have to have some sort of way to manipulate or
it's all a
somehow
game, leverage.
it
They
is.
leverage situations.
It is. It is. It is. And it's sad. And now that we're seeing I watched you the other night on talk about Ukraine. That guy he was spot on. He knows his
Yeah,
stuff.
Nick
Knows his
spent
stuff.
yeah, and he's an old friend of mine. Like we went to high school together. We've known each other forever. And I was sitting here the other night thinking about the whole Ukraine thing, and I'm going, I don't really know a damn thing about what's the real story over there. Like, what is really fucking going on?
Right. Right.
And I thought, holy shit, Nick moved back here, and he flew out to Kiev the next day. He's over there right now. He went back.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
he's
he
already
flew.
back.
He flew. Yeah, the next day he flew right
Wow.
back into it. And I said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing it?" He said, "Listen, I have employees over there." He goes, "Yeah, I can't just leave them hanging." He goes, "It wouldn't be right." So and I think that we're not getting the whole story about what's going on. We never are.
No, no,
You
no, no.
know, I think it's more of the NATO thing, and I think it's that we've broken our agreement with Russia on the NATO agreement with bringing Ukraine in, and I think that Putin's just he's he's pissed off and he's posturing. But
Hey,
you never know. You know what I mean? We start setting up missile sites and stuff over there. Who
yeah,
knows? Who knows what I mean,
he's a very strong. He's a very strong.
oh
I guess
God.
dictator is what I hate to use that phrase.
Well, he is. I mean, ex KGB. I
Right.
mean, you watch the guy. He goes out there with the Olympic judo team and goes out and rolls with those guys. Now, granted, they might give, they might like let him get a couple throws in there, but I mean, he's running around with them and stuff. And
Hey,
I mean, you look at a guy like that compared to our faithless leader. I mean,
listen.
Putin's got to be laughing his ass off at
Oh
sorry
yeah.
Joe.
Oh, and and I think and I think the left have, um, I think they're all, they're all, I hate to use the word disappointed, but I think that's probably the only word I can use because they're
Right.
disappointed in what he has accomplished or in terms of what he wanted. He come up with these grandiose ideas during the election cycle, which everybody listened to. Hey, and I even liked them. I thought that's a great idea. That's a great idea, and they don't come to fruition.
Right. And I always make the analogy. It's like the kid in high school running for student body council, right?
Yeah,
And he gets up there at the pep rally and says, "I'm putting Mountain Dew machines on every corner of the school, and we're gonna have better food in the lunchroom." You know he's not gonna get that, but everybody, hey, let's vote for Sam. I mean,
right.
it's the same type of thing. These elections are just all built. They're all based on empty promises, and really, it's funny because you got to look at it too. Like that guy doesn't have that much power. I
No,
mean,
no.
and the people that are failing are the ones behind him because I mean, all they do is they march him out there with talking points. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
he says it himself. He goes out there and he goes, "I'm supposed to," and he gets his card out that says where he woke up. He looks at okay, I woke up in 1600 Pennsylvania. My wife's name is Jill, and I'm supposed to call on you.
right. Exactly. Exactly.
How many times has he said, "Oh, I better not say that. They'll be mad at me." I mean, so they got their hand up his ass like a sock puppet.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
And
it's not just him and his administration. I mean, I'm not going to put all the failings just on him. Yeah, he
no,
owns he
yeah,
owns
he's
60%, no doubt about it. Or
yeah,
I'd even say he owns 50%. The other
yeah,
50% come from his side of the aisle
mm-hmm,
when it comes to, if you look at the congressional
yep.
aisles, if you look at some of the Senate aisles, you have all these people. Nancy Pelosi, 81 years old. I mean, come on.
She,
Skeletor?
yeah, Skeletor. That's what I call her too, man. I mean, and you can't tell me there's no shady dealings. She's got shady dealings going on in China too. Her
Yeah,
husband is
so
doing all that limo service and shit over there for the Olympics.
exactly.
She
Exactly.
went from being absolutely anti-China for the Olympics to being all about it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So,
and why is that? Because
hey,
her husband running a limo service over there.
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly. Sometimes,
all of these.
sometimes situations augment our convenience on how we look at life, and that's exactly
That's
what she's
for
playing.
sure.
And I'm sorry, at 81, I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. Hell, I don't care
I
if
don't care
you're
if you're Superman.
if you're a fucking independent.
Yeah,
You don't need to be in office at
yeah,
81.
yeah.
Hell,
Go
I'm
home.
50 fucking one, and I have a hard time figuring out, did I use the right deodorant today, or did I use my wife's deodorant?
What did I brush my teeth with today?
Exactly.
Was it toothpaste
Exactly.
or poop paste?
Right. I mean, at some point, they have to understand, though, that her age, yes,
Yeah.
granted her
Well,
experience, and she's got plenty of it. I mean, being in
well,
office since what, 87, 88?
she's
I was
been
in,
in there, yeah, I mean, well, not quite as long as Joe, but she's
no,
been there
but
for a
she's
long
been around
time,
a long time.
almost 40 years.
At some point, you need to realize that, you know what? I'm not running for the chief office in the country. I'm not running for a secondary higher up office. I'm not going to be on a Supreme Court. I think it's time I need to hang it up because
Yep.
let's face it, I don't like Eric Swalwell whatsoever at all, but
Oh
I would
God, no.
I would put more trust into him after banging Fang than I
Yeah,
would
right.
Pelosi.
That dude cracks me up when he comes out and he gets on his soapbox. It's like, dude, you ain't got a leg to stand on, bro. I was like, you're out there banging the Chinese spy, and you're gonna sit here and start lecturing people. And God,
Well, if you follow the Twitterverse, which I have done quite recently.
I've gotten into it recently. I haven't before, but
No,
I
me
did
either.
get more into it because it's the thing now.
Oh
But
yeah, me
it seems
either.
like
I've been
Facebook is kind of becoming obsolete and
well. Facebook is the MySpace of
right. And
the
then
new
they got
generation.
the
But
metaverse. Yeah,
Twitter's maintaining. But if you watch him, he used to be real smart, and real clever here and there,
right.
and then he started shutting up, and
Yeah,
now he posts stuff. It's about his kid
yeah.
and just trivial stuff. I mean,
Just
I
keeps
put
it
stuff
quiet.
on there now just to skew him. I'm waiting for him to block me. That's my goal.
Yeah,
Is to have Swalwell. I'm waiting for a Democrat to block me, or I'm waiting for anyone to block me. I don't care if
sure.
you're a Democrat or you're a damn Republican. I want you to block me if I start challenging your ideas.
Well, they blocked me. One of my episodes got taken down back
I
in
see you said
September,
that.
and then they took another one down, and I challenged it in December,
Yeah,
and they actually said I actually won the appeal on it because what I had quoted and what they told me that I was given misinformation. I said these are NIH, CDC, WHO numbers. I was
right.
like, you can't tell me that I can't, quote them. It's like you said that the community guidelines are that you're not supposed to dissent with those three organizations, which is bullshit because if anybody's given out disinformation, it's been within those organizations and our government and the cookie gnome. And, and he's tied into all three of them. So,
Exactly. I saw that episode, and when I watched that, when you put that on there, the first thing I was thinking of is that all these you're labeling, and the way you went to your facts, you didn't have like a background screen, but you were speaking them,
right.
and I thought it's going to be a minute before they get to this. It's
Yeah.
going to be a minute.
That's why I do it that way. I
It's
just
going to
do
be a
note
minute.
cards. Yeah.
They're not going. As soon as they start to see a statistical fact of some sort, and they pull
Right.
those out and look at them. But I remember watching that, and I'm thinking, and the first thing I thought is, "Damn, Mike, are you trying to push the fucking envelope? Because they're gonna pull you off. They're gonna pull you off.
I
They're
don't
gonna
care.
shut you down.
I'm
They're
on
gonna do a
Rumble.
doctor. They're
Yeah.
gonna pull you off.
Yeah. Robert Malone on me.
Yeah, they're gonna do a. I said it's gonna be a balloon. That's what it's gonna be. And
Yeah.
I think
Pull
that
him.
was before he was even popular. So that's probably not even a fair characterization.
Right.
You put that out. That's been a while ago. And I
Yeah. And I
remember
think he
watching
started.
it. I heard
You
it,
knew,
and
didn't you?
I thought he is going to get fucking slammed. I
Oh,
guarantee it. And then
yeah.
you told me, I think I
Yeah.
texted you or you texted me, and you
Right.
said that you won the appeal, and I thought, well, yep, that's got to be the one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, there was one that they did take down that they didn't put back up. So I
yeah,
got a strike for that one. And then the other one they were going to give me a strike for, and I really argued it. I mean, I went after him, and I was just like, "Look, there's nothing on this episode that says anything that's conjecture or I mean, it's like I'm reading these numbers from
yeah,
their websites. I'm
yeah.
like, and I mean, I try to do that. I mean, I don't try to put out, fake numbers or anything like that. I mean,
You
certainly
put
I
out
do
solid
have my
shit.
viewpoints. I do have my viewpoints on things,
Well,
but
you're solid. I mean, you're not putting
well,
out, you're not candy coating anything.
right.
You're not making
That's
it
not
any
what
better than what
yeah.
it is.
I'm
You're
just trying to be
saying,
honest. I don't
yeah,
want people
this
to
is
wake up. That's a big thing. I want people to wake up and see what the
brutal
fuck is
truth.
going on,
Brutal truth.
and we've just like you were saying in that 4th of July message I listened to just a little while ago. You were talking about weakness, and I think that relates to complacency and comfort, and we've become so complacent and comfortable that we don't want to we don't want to buck. We don't want it's like you don't want to buck the apple cart, right?
No.
Like, hey, everything's okay. I got my 2.3 kids, my house in
Oh
the
yeah.
suburbs, my minivan. We're going to soccer practice. Don't say anything. Just it's okay. But I mean, with this inflation going through the roof, and then everybody's just sick of this, man. When Bill Maher is out there and Barry Weiss is on his show and they're talking about being sick of the masks and being done with COVID. I mean, and then you always see Whoopi Goldberg. Who gives a fuck what Whoopi Goldberg has to say? When did
She's
she
a
become
celebrity. She's not. She has. What's her credibility rating? What's her
exactly
background? Her
goose egg?
background. is
Go
comedy.
fuck Ted Danson.
Right. So okay. So if we're going to talk about credibility standards, so if we're going to if people are going to be pushed to this limit, like
Right.
like you discussed, like the NIH, the CDC, and it's all about credibility and it's about your standard. Okay, that's fine. Let's levy that across the board.
Yep.
Okay, so that's fine. So when these celebrities or people on The View or people
Yeah.
or
When
on
did that
Fox
become
News
a
or whoever, okay, what is your background? What's your experience? Are you speaking just off from the hip, or are you
right?
speaking from fact?
Right. And yeah, where are you getting your talking points? Because where's Joy Behar getting her bullshit? I mean, what
It's
straight off
probably
more
well,
from Morning
ABC
Joe?
owns right.
I mean, and they're where are they getting their talking points from? I mean, it's the news media is owned by what only five different organizations.
Yeah, there's only a there, and it's not
So
and it's all predominantly heavy leaning to one particular side of the aisle.
it
And
certainly is.
granted, I'm not the
And
biggest fan of Fox News either because I think that they have their own
no,
propaganda
well, I
message
do
in there
too.
too.
I like listening to Gutfeld because he cracks me up.
Oh, he's funny.
And I think honestly, Tucker Carlson, he's doing one of the best jobs I think out there because he's fearless, and I can't believe they still have him on Fox because he honestly doesn't care about calling out anybody, and that's why I like Jimmy Dore so much. That's why you always see me
Oh, Jimmy Dore's
posting
great.
him. I
He's
mean,
great,
he's a left, he's left, he's progressive,
but
but
he's
he's
great.
fearless. He's fearless,
He's great.
and he doesn't hesitate to call anybody out. It doesn't matter, and they get so mad at him. And I mean, and then watching the Young Turks, that Cenk Uygur and that Anna Kasparian, oh my God, are they terrible or
Oh,
what?
Anna Kasparian. Now, listen, if you want to see
Oh,
something
God.
interesting, watch the interview. Watch the YouTube thing, the debate with her and Ben Shapiro, and
Oh,
it's good.
yeah,
It's good. Now, Ben is not. He doesn't school her like they want it to make it out to be,
right,
but she doesn't win over, and
yeah,
he does about 60% better. And it's like I just see a comment on here. Lucas is saying that Fox is controlled opposition. That is probably the most accurate depiction
yeah,
of a news organization outside of what we have on the left. I mean,
yeah.
honestly, you've got CNN, you got MSNBC, and they're just talking points.
MSDNC,
Yes, yes, but
and then
he's right.
you got Joy Reid. Oh my, she's gonna lose her job.
Well, you know what? I think
I
that
think
they were
she's
taking
done.
her off the air.
Yeah, she's done.
Yeah, and she
She
needed to be
she's
done. She was nothing but a race baiter.
she's so racist. I mean, it's ridiculous how racist she is. It's absolutely terrible. And
I grew up in the projects of Fort
yeah,
Lauderdale. I grew up in the projects of Fort Lauderdale, and I know what the life is down there.
sure.
You know, the thing is, here's a funny thing, Mike. Think about it when we were kids. Did we look at race?
No.
Fuck no. Didn't
I'm,
matter. I didn't care if you were black, white. I didn't think
well,
about it.
well,
I
and
didn't
that's the
think
same
about it.
thing in here. I mean, I grew up here in Wyoming. It's not very diverse. There was one black guy that I grew up with, and we're still friends. We ended up going. He left when we were like in eighth grade, and I ended up walking into the dorm in college, like in another state. And he's
Right.
standing there, and I'm loading my stuff in at the start of school year, and I keep walking by him. Finally, I stop. I said, "Man, where do I know you from?" He goes, "I don't know. Where are you from?" I said, "Cody, Wyoming." He goes, "Cody?" He goes, "Oh, Mike," and I'm like, "Jeff," and it's funny because he left school and went into the Marines, became a gunnery sergeant, and recently retired. He's out in San Diego. I just talked to him the other day. He said he's trying to make his exodus out of California. I said, "Hey, man, we got room here, man. Come on
Oh yeah.
back home." But
Hey, I've
yeah,
been
I mean,
looking
I
at.
never saw it that way. I mean, I don't know, and I mean, I've raised my son that way as well. Like we go to the city. I mean, I mean, my best friend Josh. I mean,
Yeah.
the first time I took Jax out there, we get off the airplane in Burbank, and I said, "All right, Jax," I said, "look for an expedition on big 24s, and it's probably got some Run DMC bumping out of the thing, And I said, "Your Uncle Josh is going to be excited to meet you, And he's like, "I have an Uncle Josh." I said, "Yeah, And I mean, the one thing he's never asked me his entire life is, "Hey, Dad, how come I have a black uncle?"
Yeah.
It's never become because I didn't raise him that way. Like we've walked through I've taken that kid through some places where most people wouldn't go, and he walks up to dudes on the street,
Yeah. As
and
K food, right?
puts his hand out and says, "Hey, hello, my name's Jackson. How are you
Yeah.
today?" And they're looking at me, and I look at him like, shake the kid's hand.
Yeah. Absolutely.
you know, and I think that changes perceptions for, you know, for those guys too, because they don't see a white dude and his kid walking down the street in their neighborhood every day, especially walking up and just talking, you know, and just
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, what's up?" I
Hmm.
mean, I had a situation when I was locked up with a guy that, you know, it was his birthday and he needed some store and shit, so he came by because I was a store man, and I just kicked him down what he needed, you know, and I said, "Have a seat, man. Grab a soda. What's up with you?" You know, and we sat there and shot the shit. Told me about his kids, and he gets up to leave. He goes, "You're not bad for a white dude." And I said, "Well, you ain't too bad for a black dude either." And you know, but those are the conversations that you have that make a difference. And it's
Yeah.
completely politically incorrect, but I mean, some of the best conversations I had with guys from different races, we were making fun of each other, you know,
Absolutely.
our stereotypes of one another, you know. I mean, I remember one
Absolutely.
conversation, we're sitting there talking about what each of us must have had for our first vehicle. You know, of course, everybody said I must have had a Ford F-150, and I'm looking at a dude over here. I'm like, you must have had a Royal Brom, you know, and you know, I mean, you know, you had a Chevy Stepside.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, you know, you have that conversation on a late night talks or whatever. People be coming out of their shoes, but I mean, after that conversation, we all looked at each other and we had to laugh about the perceptions that we had of one another because we you know, you realize that we're all the same. Well, I mean, every guy there that was in that conversation was trying to do the same thing. They were all trying to get out, trying to go raise their kids, trying to get back home. You know, I mean, and you
Hey,
realize
Mike,
that, yeah.
something happened. I've lost audio.
Uh oh.
I've lost audio.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see here.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure. I mean, I heard
I've
part of it,
got.
but I lost audio. I
Okay.
see you
Do
talking,
you
but I
want me
can't
to?
hear you.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. It's.
I'm trying to figure out
I
what I
don't.
need to do here.
Everything on my soundboard's reading
Uh,
okay. I wonder what's going on. Let's see. All right. Well, excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure Charlie will be coming back here. Here we go. We got him back. All right. How's that? Are we back?
you there?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me? No audio for me for you.
Hey, Mike, I can't
No.
hear you. I don't know if you can
Okay.
hear
All
me.
right. Give me just let me just turn mine off and I'll come back on. All right. Oh, I gotta love the technical difficulties. All right. How about now? Are we
You there,
back?
Mike?
I am. Can you see me? I don't know what happened here because I didn't touch a thing. It looked like your phone
I
moved or
see you.
something. Yeah, I see you too.
I can't hear you, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. You're good. So I don't know. I
Let
got
me
my
try to call. Let me try to
oh,
call you.
okay. Well, hang on. My phone's off. Hey, Charlie, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Charlie? Charlie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Mike. You there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened.
I don't
I,
either. I had my phone off. That's what I was trying to say that because I turned my phone off because it kept going off the stupid ringer and it vibrates and makes noise. And
yeah, I think it's my internet here. Honestly, I
okay,
think it's my
okay,
internet. So
all right, yeah, because it was weird. It was just like all of a sudden there was a crackle and you were gone. Anyway, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. What good would it be if we didn't have some kind of a tech fuck up? You know,
hey, that's part of
do
that. Hey, that's the
doing
life of a
better,
podcaster.
doing better than most times. Actually, this is the second time I think I've done a call and that it's actually worked out. I know we've tried to. It's like I didn't know what I was doing, man. It took me a while to figure it all out. I'm still figuring it out, man. There's a lot to this.
Oh
And
yeah.
then it changes. It changes from week to week because this is all open source stuff. So
There you go. Because I mean,
you
every
know,
time I know you're opening, you're checking platforms and everything, so that's a good thing.
yeah,
But I'm pushing the show from the YouTube
yeah,
at
I
least.
appreciate
I'm
you,
getting
man.
people to watch it from YouTube at
Yeah, that's
least.
great. Yeah,
So
and
I'm
I'm
getting that. You're gonna
and
get the
I
notice. You're gonna get the notification and the credibility or the credit that you deserve for being the voice because you truly
well,
have um, the point of view that people need to hear.
I hope so. And I mean, like I was telling you, I just want to be a conduit. I want to be a place where, I want to offer a place where people can speak their mind. I don't want to shut anybody down. I want people to just be able to speak their mind. And I want people to like, to actually wake up. People are always going, "Why are you so into this? Why you
Right.
get so?" Well, I'm like, because this is what these are the things that define our lives. I mean, what's going on here? This is how this is going to go. If you're not paying attention to it and you just sit back and you let these things just happen, and everybody thinks because they put on a "I voted" sticker that they're doing something, and it's like, no, you're not. It's and especially if you're uninformed. If you're an uninformed voter and you're just going into the booth and you're just checking the R's or the D's, I
Listen,
mean,
if you vote straight ticket on either side, I think you're making a mistake.
I think making a mistake just even voting.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, I get it.
I
I
mean,
get it.
I mean,
And
it's
I
the only
never want
option
like
that
when I put the ballot in that says, "Do you want to vote straight ticket?"
no,
No, I don't,
no,
because
and I
there's
would
some
never want
people
to
that
either.
I think are running under a particular
Yeah,
letter that are just
and
trying to get the vote.
well, and what sucks is that we don't have a third party. We need a third party. And it's
I
like,
agree.
I mean, like the last
We
election. I
need the
mean,
third
everybody,
party.
people will call me a neocon and this and that, or they'll call me a libtard some days. I mean, because I backed Tulsi Gabbard in the last election.
Hey, she was good, and
I
I
thought
like
so
her.
too. You're talking about a combat veteran. You're talking about somebody that's anti-war. I mean, if anybody knows, I mean, she's been there, man. I mean,
Yep.
I didn't care that she was a Democrat. I mean, my point
I
of view
care
on it was
less.
like, I was like, here you go. You've got your woman of color that's voting or that's running on the Democratic ticket, and yet they want to
Absolutely.
slam her, and and then Hillary calls her a Russian agent.
That
After that was just absolute. I was just like, I mean, I was insulted over her saying that. I can't imagine
that
what
was out
Tulsi
of
was.
fear. You know that
Sure.
as well as I do. You know that was
But
out of
how
fear.
crazy are you going to say that about somebody that's
It
been a
was out of
medic,
fear.
that's done 2 tours in Iraq and she's seen the cost of war. She's tried to patch her
Yeah.
people up. I mean, she's watched them die.
Yeah.
She's been there when a guy comes in that's been blown to bits by an IED
Hmm.
and had to try and piece him. I mean,
You
and you're
got
gonna
it.
and you and Hillary fucking Clinton's gonna sit there and say that she's an agent of Russia. And these people, these idiots are still pushing this Russia thing. I mean, Rachel Maddow
Listen,
can't let it go. It's just like, what in the? I mean, and they go, well, you know, Bob Mueller did not find anything. I mean, okay, I'm not licking toads. I mean, what the hell are you saying? I laughed my ass off when Mueller said that when he's up there talking about when the report finally came out after how many millions of dollars that the taxpayers spent on that shit. And see, there goes my phone.
right.
He's like, well, we can't prove that there was any collusion, but we can't prove that there wasn't
Wasn't.
not any collusion either.
You know,
And then
and I like
Maddow
in
and
that.
Cenk Uygur are up there going, see. It's
See,
like,
exactly. And see, I liken that to what and see the Republicans, they're so they're so hell bent on saying there is nothing, but they're just as guilty.
yeah,
Just
they
as
are.
guilty.
They're
Because
just as implicit. Yep.
we both remember the Benghazi thing.
Yep.
Okay. Did we
Yeah.
need to have that much investigation? No, we did not.
Yep.
We screwed up. We
Yep.
screwed up.
And it wasn't no damn videotape.
Exactly. We screwed up. We made a mistake.
Yep.
Do we need to have a big dissertation as to why? No, we screwed up. Made
Yeah.
a
Take some
mistake.
responsibility.
Right. But
Just
see,
like
what they were
just like what
pointing the
happened in
finger at, they wanted to
Afghanistan.
point the finger. That was the
Yep.
point. They're like,
Yep.
well, it's Hillary. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
you know what?
It,
It
it,
wasn't
it
just her.
no, it wasn't. And it goes all the way
It
across the
wasn't just
board.
her. And I will say this, and this is what my conservative friends look at me when I say this. They say that, what do you mean it wasn't just her? The buck didn't stop there. She didn't pull the Janet Reno and say the buck
Yeah,
stops here. She didn't do that. Why? Because she had advisors too. She had advisors,
of course.
and the
And,
president.
and those calls go all the way through that war room. You know, I mean, you've got the general sitting there. I mean, it's not like she's making the call.
Exactly.
She's the one out there, in the public's eye. I mean, it's getting thrown on her, but you know for a fact that, you got those guys in that underground room in there, and they're the ones that are making the call. I
Right.
mean,
So I mean,
it's just like Biden. I mean, you can sit there and, I mean, if he wasn't such a racist, you know, and had a history of that, as far as the 1994 crime bill, and
yep.
then, I mean, being against the busing and saying he didn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle, and a number of other things that he said, I would feel bad for him, because I look at him like my grandpa, and like somebody trying to, I mean, my grandpa passed away at 82, and I mean, there was no way that I mean, he's a great man, but you can't have somebody, I mean, at that age, and then he's talking about running again in 24. There's no way he ain't running again. And Kamala Harris is, whew, Jesus Christ.
I
I
mean,
don't even know where to even start
that's
with
the
that
truth.
one.
That's the fact, Mike. That's the fact. That's the fact. That's the reason why you get these pundits out here that say, "Oh, Benghazi, well, it was all Hillary," or
right
Afghanistan, it was all Biden. You know what? I think Afghanistan, it was a complete debacle. There's
from the
no doubt
get
about
go.
it.
It was
Nobody's
absolutely
trying. No one's going to make amends for that.
well. And
But was
you
it?
being a veteran, right?
Yeah,
You're familiar with the technology that we have.
sure.
Okay, if Bin Laden is in fact the one behind 9/11, you don't think we have the technology to go find a 6'5" Arab that's on a dialysis machine hiding out in a cave? Come on. And then Bush takes it and goes and perpetuates Daddy's war against Saddam.
Yep.
And why do you want to do that? Because we had tried to bribe Saddam economically for years, and he wasn't
Exactly.
taking the bait. And so we sent in the jackals. We couldn't take him down, you know? And so finally it was like, okay, that was the opportunity. And then all of a sudden they fabricate that WMD. I don't know if you've seen the footage of Bush was doing the White House press conference dinner. And he's up on the stage, Bush Jr. is. And he's like, well, hey, he's laughing about WMDs. And he actually looks like he bends over like he's looking up his ass. And he goes, oh, no WMDs up there. I mean,
I haven't seen that one.
they killed. I mean, look what they did to the city of Mosul. I mean, that was a beautiful city, and it's
Oh, yeah.
nothing. 100,000 people dead, innocent people dead. I watched the footage the other day. I don't know if you've seen it. Actually, now I got to give the New York Times credit for this, because they did put this video out, but they put out the drone strike that we carried out in Afghanistan that killed the man and those kids. And
Oh,
the guy
yeah,
was a
yes,
social
yes.
worker. The guy was a
I'm right with
social
you.
worker for an outfit out of California. And they thought he was behind the bombings at the airport. And I mean, you watch that drone strike, man, and you can see on the drone, it's going civilian, civilian, civilian.
Right.
And then it says like target, and it's got the vehicle that him and the kids were in. I mean, they took out like 10 innocent people.
Yeah.
And the guy was working for an outfit out of California as a social worker with
Yeah.
kids in the vehicle. And there's no accountability in the military for that. Nobody got fired. There's been no trials. There's been no hearings. Milley got up there and said, basically, oops a daisy.
Yeah.
And it's like, what if that would happen on our soil?
Different story.
Can you imagine that?
Oh, absolutely.
If some other country, if we had an Iranian drone fly over, in U.S.
The
airspace,
righteous indignation would come out
oh my
from
God,
the right and the left.
Lee Greenwood would go to the top of the charts again, and we'd be proud to be an American. And
Yep. Exactly.
and
We
I
have
mean,
our own demons that we're not willing to accept. And that's
this is certainly
that's
true.
the thing with politics. When you look at the facts and you look at both sides of the aisle, both of them have their own demons that they want to subdue, they want to hide, but
Yep.
at the end of the day they all say, but it's about America. Not
No, it's not.
necessarily. It's
Not to
about
them.
the
It's not.
party.
It's about them staying in office too.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that
That's
they
why
know
term
is
limits has
that
never been successful.
right, and they know that the American people are going to switch back and forth every You might have a president in for 8 years, and you know that the CIA and the NSA, they're looking at a president. He's not hearing shit about what's really happening.
Sure.
You know, those guys, those cats are looking at those dudes and they're just going, yeah, whatever. He's just, he'll be here for a minute and he's gone. I mean, they're
Because
able to
they don't care.
right, and they
They
can pull
know
his
that they
strings. They
are
can pull
the
his
puppet
strings.
master.
Yeah, exactly. And that's and they use that, I think, and people get wound up about it. Everybody gets upset about this, that, and the other thing with that fucking Biden, that fucking, that fucking Trump, that fucking, Obama, that fucking Bush. It's not that. Those guys are really not that powerful. I mean, it's only been recently that they've started with the whole executive order thing.
Exactly.
And that only carries so much weight until the next, the
Last
next
two
presidency.
cycles, last two presidential cycles, we've seen that in action.
Right. And I think Biden was signing those things. He didn't even, and I don't think Trump knew what he was signing either half
He
the time.
didn't.
He was just signing it just to show his signature because he's so narcissistic. I mean, the guy's a megalomaniac.
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of his image.
Right.
And he had to maintain that. He had to maintain that from the base.
But he was funny.
Oh, of course.
I mean, who doesn't miss his tweets? CNN misses his tweets. They got nothing to talk about anymore.
To pick on him with.
What's Brian Stelter talking about these days? Donuts?
God only knows, because he is.
His
tweets. If you actually look at a record of anything of Brian Stelter, if you look at any of his,
he's painful
on him. He contradicts himself at times.
He's painful to watch.
It's just it's a joke.
He's terrible. He's just as bad. I mean, there's so many. I can't even stand. Even watching Biden, I can only take him in like snippets.
Yeah.
I mean, and same with. I mean, basically all. I mean, like even like Mitch McConnell. Oh my God, I was trying to watch that turtlehead get through what he was doing today.
Trust me, we hear enough about him.
No.
I promise you, this part of the country where we're at, I can promise you, we hear about Mitch quite a bit.
No, I'm sure. I mean, he's basically married to a Chinese spy.
Call it what it is.
I don't
Call
know.
it what it is, brother.
I don't know, man.
Call it what it is. That's how I look at it.
All I know is if you put a monocle and gave him a cane, he would be on the can of that Planters peanut can, He looks like Mr. Peanut.
Exactly.
Or a tortoise. He looks like a turtle, like a snapping turtle.
Absolutely.
Fucking sounds like a southern Kermit the Frog.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Mike,
God.
it's been good. I need to be about my way, about my business for the rest of the day.
All right, brother. Well, I'm glad we got to catch up, man. It was a pleasure.
Me too, man.
It always is, and let's do it again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Anytime you want, just let me know.
Thing, or at least
that'd be great, man.
Monthly.
Hey, I'd love to have you on whenever you want to come on. I'm in here in the studio most of the time now. I'm trying to focus on this. Like I was saying, I kind of just took the approach that regardless of what it's doing, I'm going after it. I've gone all in on it already. So I'm that kind of guy. I mean, if I go after something, I'm going to go after it. So I've got tenacity and I've been in a situation in life where I've lost everything and had to get it back. And so, I mean, I figure if this is my worst thing I got to complain about, then hey, man, everything is good. You know what I'm saying, brother?
You're in good shape, my man.
As long as I don't get the unicorn or whatever it is. The unicorn part 2 now.
Exactly.
Did you see that?
2.0.
Yeah, unicorn 2.0. Yeah. Fucking Jesus Christ. Here we go again. Anyway.
Yep. All right,
brother, man. Well, you have a good one.
Much
Be
love,
safe out
man.
there.
I will talk to you
likewise,
soon, brother.
All right, man.
See you, buddy.
All right, later, brother.
Brother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mr. Charlie Caperton. Great guy right there. The inspiration behind the show. And the funny thing is that Charlie and I have never met in person. And we can't for the life of us figure out how we became friends on Facebook. He's a Navy veteran. He worked in he worked in prison systems, which is crazy. Like he was saying, we're polar opposites, but we get along. He's a great guy. I consider him my brother. I'd do anything for the guy, and I'm looking forward to meeting him. And I love having him on the show. And he's kind of like me. He sees things, as they are. I mean, I don't know that any of us actually really see beyond the curtain. I mean, we try, we do our best, and that's one thing I appreciate about Charlie is he can look at things from both sides, just like I do, or I try to do. I'm not trying to look at things from one side or the other. I mean, there's a lot of things that on the progressive side of things that I'm completely for. I mean, I am for. I think everybody should have health care. I mean, if we're going to spend all this money on wars, trillions on wars, then why don't we have health care? Why do we have homeless people? Why do we have such a large homeless population? Granted, there's a number of homeless people out there that want to be out there on the street. And you got a lot of, I mean, you have a certain percentage, and I'm not sure what the percentage is, so I'm not going to spout any numbers, but you do have a lot of homeless veterans out there that come back from war and they've got PTSD and they'd rather be on the street. They have comfort in that because, I mean, and that's what happens when you're in a traumatic situation, when you're in a place that, that strips down your base humanity, and then you come back into society. It's a tough transition to make. It's a very tough transition to make. I mean, I've had a very hard time with it, just from being in prison. I mean, in prison, and I wasn't there that long compared to some guys. I mean, some cats. I mean, that I know were down there for a long time, and it's you come out and you there's just things. I mean, it gets better, But I mean, I know when I got home. I mean, the first day I went to Walmart, I snapped on this poor dude behind me. I mean, I'm sitting there running my card, and you know how they do at Walmart. I mean, everybody behind you, they got to get right up there like they don't have a full cart full of groceries, right? That drives me. I mean, it made me crazy. And my friend Charlie Manro, rest in peace, Charlie. Found out that Charlie Manro passed away, so I'm doubtful this will get to any of his family. But I love Charlie. He was a great guy. And he lived it like he owned it right down to the last time, I mean, that OG, I mean, when I was in with him, he was pushing 80. And I told him, he sat me down one day because we used to play backgammon like every day. And I just like listening to the old guy, old bank robber, old drug dealer, just an OG, old gangster. Shriveled up old man at that point. But I could imagine what he was like in his prime. And we're sitting there talking, and he's like, Mike, he goes, when you get out, he goes, man, he goes, you got to take it down. He goes, when you get out there, you got to take it down. You got to take it down. He's like, you can't go out there like this. He's like, you're going to snap off on somebody. He goes, there's idiots out there everywhere, man. He goes, and you're going to lose it. He's like, so you've got to take it down, And I'm like, oh, okay, man. And he was right, And I asked him, I said, Charlie, what are you going to do when you get out? I said, when you get out, you're going to be 82 years old. What you going to do? He looked at me and goes, I figure I got one last move I can make. And I said, what's that? He said, well, he goes, I still got my connections. He goes, I figure I can make one last move with meth. And I looked at him, I said, dude, what? I said, what do you think? He goes, look, I got my connections. He goes, I'll drive on my way out there. He goes, I'll rob banks along the way. I'll meet my connection. I'll get make a big fat score. He's like, I got people out there that owe me money. And he goes, that's what I'm going to do. I said, Charlie, you're going to be 82 years old, man. I said, you're going to end up right back here. He goes, so what? He goes, I'll be 82. He goes, I'll come in here and feed the birds. So I've been looking for him, and I haven't been able to find him on BOP or anything like that. And then I came upon an article that said he was at Terminal Island. And so the other day I called TI, and I asked the CEO that answered the phone about Charlie, and he said, he passed away. And I was like, oh man, it brought a little tear to my eye. But the man was, I guess at this point it would have been like 84 or whatever. He probably got the COVID and that's it. But I mean, 84 is a long way, Anyway, rest in peace, Charlie Manro. And if your kids are out there listening, then I want you to know that your grandfather, your father, any of Charlie's family, I doubt any of this would ever get to any of them. But if any of Charlie Manro's family out there ever hears this, just know that Charlie he was a really good man. He was a good dude. I mean, I used to try and give that dude commissary. He wouldn't take it, And I was looking him up because I was going to try and shoot him some money on his books. I knew he wouldn't even spend it because he was always like that, I'd be like, hey man, have some soups, have some tuna fish. You got to eat something, bud. But he was a good dude. I mean, just bank robber, just a OG. Anyway, didn't need to get off on that tangent. But it was something that's been on my mind the last week because, I kind of hit that hit a spot with me when I saw that he'd gone on the run from that Long Beach halfway house. And I mean, this dude is 82 years old. He escapes halfway house in Long Beach. He goes all the way out to Georgia so he can see his daughter one last time. Scores a car. Goes up to Oregon. And gets money from somebody that owed him some money, right? Heads back down. He's on the lam, right? Like he's basically escaped BOP custody, even though you're in halfway house. If you leave, you're escaped, right? So he's automatically looking at another 5-year bid on that alone, right? I mean, if you're 82 and you get a 5-year bid for escape, that's a life sentence. You're done. Goes down through California, gets into Arizona, and he's on his way to his spot. And I'm not going to say where that is because, even in his passing, I still ain't going to put him out there like that. But he makes a mistake of going and buying a BB gun. And he always told me, I always asked him, I said, man, what's the allure? I said, what's the allure with you guys, with you bank robbers? Because every bank robber I knew, a bank robber has got the second highest recidivism rate of any other criminal, right? You've got your Chester molester, weirdo, sickos, and then you got bank robbers. For some reason, they want to do it again. And the average haul on a bank robbery is anywhere between $1,200 and $1,400. It's not that much. I mean, $1,200, $1,400, but it's the adrenaline and shit. He always told me he would go to a town. He said he'd travel across the country. He'd just stop in small towns. He said he'd go get a hotel room, go to the little diner across the street from the local bank, and he said he'd sit there and he'd watch. He'd see when the police would come and go. He'd see when they'd have the shift changes with the tellers and when they'd have the fewest people in the bank. He said he'd just walk in with a note and walk up to, he told me that he used the merchant teller a lot because they typically had more money in the drawer. And he'd just pass him a note. And he said he knew when the police were making their shift changes and everything else, and he'd just walk out with the money and get in his Cadillac and roll. I mean, he got popped because he had his Cadillac sitting there at a hotel for like a week, and I guess the cops were bored, and it was a little border town. He was waiting for the call, and he'd had some dudes make up some fake license plates for his car, and the cops just decided one day randomly just to run the tags on his car, and it came back as a Volkswagen Bug when it's a Cadillac sitting there. And he said they busted in his room, and he had a gun in the car, a bunch of fake IDs, and then obviously they traced it all back to him. Old man running around the country robbing banks. Now, how gangster is that? I mean, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But hey, to each his own. And I mean, it's just a bank. I mean, who cares? It's FDIC insured. It's just fake. I mean, like they don't do bank. I mean, like these stupid stimulus packages aren't, isn't robbery. I mean, what do we have? 6 trillion and then 1.9 trillion. That's $8 trillion. I've told you folks, do the math. Sit down, write down $8 trillion. If you're listening, I'd like to ask you to do that. Grab a pen, paper, write down $8 trillion. Okay? And then what I'd like you to do is divide that by the 340 million people that we have in this country. And then tell me where the money went. And this drives me nuts too. I was listening to this dude yesterday, and he's a younger dude. Goddamn phone. He's a younger dude, and he has done pretty well for himself. Puts out a lot of videos and stuff, and he kept saying that about them printing money, and I'm like, I had to comment. I'm like, dude, they're not printing money, man. I'm like, for being a financial guru, man, you're not understanding this. It's like they don't print money. None of these stimulus packages have printed money. I mean, they printed a lot of money during Iraq and Afghanistan and shit like that. I mean, and like when we made, the Iran nuclear deal, right? That was all cash. But these stimulus packages, I mean, the way this plays out is like this. The government calls the Fed. They say, we need this. We're going to write up these bonds. So they sit there and they write up these bonds, right? Shitty pieces of paper. I mean, it's really just as good as this note card, this blank note card. I mean, it's basically an IOU. They send that to the Fed. And rather than printing up the amount of money that the government needs, the Fed gets a guy and he sits down, he's boom. The money gets shot out, right? And it's not even money. It's a digital number. How many people out there get direct deposits? How many people take a paycheck and go into the bank and deposit it? And then when you go into the store, I don't have my wallet on me right now. Imagine that. But you go in and you pull out that piece of plastic and you swipe it through there. Or now you don't even have to. Now you can just use this little device right here, right? You just use this guy. This guy will take care of you. And you go in there and you just, I mean, I go into Walmart. I walk through there and whatever I get, I put it on the app thing and I just scan it and throw it in the cart. I get up front to the self-checkout. I hold my phone up in front of the thing and it goes, you're good to go, Mr. File. There's not any money that changes hands. I shouldn't say money, currency. And see, that's where I get off too, is I make mistakes on that too, because there's a big, huge difference between money and currency. And a lot of people don't understand that either. Currency is what we deal with the dollar. Money is it's a what you would call a fungible asset, like gold, silver. I mean, anything really, I guess, that's worth money. I mean, who knows where it's going to turn out with the way inflation and everything's going. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going and going. And they keep marching that poor old man out there to say shit, and he doesn't even know what he's saying. I mean, he called Peter Ducey a stupid son of a bitch the other day when Peter asked about inflation. It doesn't seem like people are even paying attention to it. And that's what's frustrating. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here with this thing. And that's why I like Mr. Caperton so much, because he understands what's going on. He's taken the nest heat plunge into the whole thing like I have. And everybody, I don't know why you got to get so into, it's like, I'm going to be into this because this is what affects all of our lives. And somebody's got to, because we've allowed these criminals, these criminals have basically given us a place where we can live in complacency and comfort. They're like, if we give these stupid motherfuckers this and that and the other thing, we can keep them working for us and we can keep them shut up and we can just fucking get whatever we want. And I don't know why they would want that. And here's my thing, is that there's enough out there for everybody. We have enough resources for everybody. Everybody to be comfortable too. I'm not talking about everybody living in, fucking Coke can apartments. I mean, go check out the Venus Project. Anybody out there that listens to this, check out the Venus Project and get back to me on that. Now you tell me what you think about what Fresco's saying. I mean, it's a very ideological and it's a very bold vision that he has. But if enough people were to gain the enlightenment that he had, the man lived to be almost 100 years old. And check it out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's always something out there you can learn something from. And sitting around and being a dummy and listening to stupid music and watching dumbass TV shows. I mean, if that's how you want to live your life, you live your life like that. You know what I'm saying? That's up to you. It's your life. I mean, that's a great thing about America. And it's like Ron Swanson said, you want to go to McDonald's 3 times a day and you want to get to be 450 pounds and die at 43 from a heart attack, you can do that. That's your, you know. He said, and I think that's beautiful. That's fine. You can do that. You can sit there and smoke cigarettes and, you know, and do whatever. It's your life. And if you got kids, though, you're also paving the way for them. Because it's not about us. Because, I mean, we're only here for a short time. And that's the thing. It's like to get, I mean, everybody's like, well, why get wound up? You know, well, because, you know, I mean, do you want to live in a Mad Max dystopian world? Do you want to live there where you got some guy up on a cliff that opens up the valve and gets to drink some water? I mean, we're at the point right now, you can't say anything. I mean, the things I've said today could get me in trouble. I'm nobody. I'm just some jackass. I mean, I'm nobody. I'm just a guy in Wyoming in his house sitting here talking, contemplating things. I mean, I've gone through I'm going through, I'm trying to figure out what it's all about. It's an existential crisis to me because it's like, what is this all about? What am I here for? What are we here for? What are we doing? And I'm not going to accept the idea of the whole go to college, get your shitty piece of paper, and then go punch a clock until you're 65, 70 years old when your life is already, when all the good years of your life were spent being miserable, and they give you just enough to keep your mortgage, just enough to keep that car, even though it's shitty and you need a new one. But, and that's the thing too. I mean, what's happened is these corporations have got together and they've decided, you know, what good would it do if they came out with a cure for cancer? They ain't going to do that. They could. Don't tell me there's no cure for cancer. They sure as fuck can, you know, come up with a virus like this. This virus is a complete mutation. It's completely man-made. It's already been proven. We funded it. Your tax dollars. I mean, the American people should be fucking irate because your tax dollars funded this shit. Okay? And Fauci was behind it, and they obfuscated it. You know, it went through Echo Health and these different doctors and this and that and the other thing. And he sat there and lied. He lied in front of Congress, and nothing has happened. Do you know what would happen if I lied in front of Congress? Do you know what would happen if you lied in front of Congress? You might want to look at that. And you want to sit there and call him St. Fauci? Ooh. And all he is a symptom. You can't blame it all on Fauci. He's a symptom. I mean, he is. All these political fucking leaders and these the Pelosi's and the Bidens and the Kamala Harris's and the Trumps, and they're all symptoms. They're symptoms of a larger problem that we have. And until we get to the root of that, I don't think we figure this thing out. And unfortunately, we're getting close here to where we either need to have a great awakening, and I honestly think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to have a section of the society is going to wake up and say, we're going this way. And then there's going to be a section that's going to just sit there and fall in line. I mean, it's like Zach De La Rocha said, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. I mean, it's a great song. They had some great songs. And, you know, De La Rocha, you know, you call him a socialist, communist, whatever you want to fucking call him. But I tell you what, you know what that dude did? He was in one of the biggest bands ever. Those dudes in Rage Against the Machine, I think they only did 315 shows. It's not a lot for that time span. But in his off time, you know what he did? That dude went down to Chiapas, the poorest country in Mexico, and he taught school in little ass poor villages. Went down and taught ESL, shit like that. I mean, you know, the only habit the dude ever had was he liked to smoke American Spirit mediums. I mean, whatever, man. You know, that smoking, it's a socially acceptable way of committing suicide. I don't know. I mean, I started smoking when I was 11 years old, and I quit a little over 4 years ago and haven't touched one again. Thankfully, because that was the dumbest habit ever. But you know, if that's all you got for a habit, I guess it's not too big of a deal as long as you ain't smoking, you know, 4 packs a day. And I always liked the American Spirits too, because they didn't have the additives. At least they said they didn't. Who knows what the hell? I mean, just automatically by lighting tobacco, you're getting additives and chemical combustion shit going on. And it's probably no more dangerous than eating the food we get in the grocery store. I mean, anything you buy that's got corn, wheat, soy. Don't be a soy boy. You're going to get that estrogen. You're going to get bitch tits. Sorry. But yeah, corn, soy, any of those GMOs, guess what they're full of? Roundup, glyphosates. And if you haven't heard of that, you might want to look into it. I try and stay the hell away from that shit. Because anything with Roundup in it, that's where our cancers come from. Because if you have anybody in your family that, was around in the, excuse me, there's not a lot of people that were around in the 40s anymore, but people that were around late 40s, 50s, and that remember shit. You go to the local grocery store, man, and everything that was in there was from a local farmer. The beef came from a local ranch. Our beef comes from, God, we don't even know where. That shit you get at a fast food restaurant, that garbage you get at McDonald's. And I see motherfuckers lined up around that thing all day over there eating that slop. God damn. Burger King. You don't even know what you put in your, anybody ever heard of Soylent Green? You don't know what's in that shit. You don't got a clue. I went vegetarian for 2 years right out of college because we lived up the street from an Armour hot dog factory. And that shit was so gross. And I'm gonna say shit that people aren't gonna want to hear, but they would bring these open bed trailers in there, right? They'd have the big sides, but they would have an open top. They would pull up and they had this chute that came off the side of this thing. It looked like a grain silo. We don't want no grain silo. And these motherfuckers would pull up and they would fucking, these guts. Literally, I'm talking intestines. I mean, just like the shit that they didn't use for hot dogs. So you know that's bad because you know what's in a hot dog. I have a hard time staying away from a Dodger dog when I go to Dodger Stadium, but other than that, I don't do no damn hot dogs. And the smell, and then we'd drive by and you'd see these trailers, right? And you'd pull up and you'd watch the tube of guts just fill that son of a bitch up, and they would pile it up, right? To where it was over the top, and then these fuckers would pull out of there at breakneck speed, and you'd have chunks of shit flying. And there was a pack of like just feral dogs that would just follow these damn trucks down the road, just scooping up whatever was falling out. And at that point, I went to the grocery store one night. I'm sitting there in the meat aisle, and I'm like looking at this shit, and I'm looking at this packaging of whatever they say it is. I'm like, damn. I don't think I want to eat that. I'm like, you know what? I've become way too fucking alienated from my food source. I was like, I don't know where that ground beef came from. I was going to make spaghetti that night for everybody. I did like a vegetarian spaghetti that night. Because I looked at that shit and I was like, I don't know where this came from. I've become alienated from my food source. And we really have. And then people want to talk shit about hunters and this and that. Well, I tell you what, man, when you go out and you actually raise or go out and shoot an animal, then you have You have a relationship with your food source. I mean, and I think that's why people like, if they've got a greenhouse, if they're growing their own veggies and shit like that, I think that's why it just tastes so much better. I mean, number one, it is. I mean, growing your own vegetables. I'm thinking about putting a greenhouse out here, but doing that, I mean, you're not getting the GMO shit. And those GMOs full of. It's not that they've modified the seed or the genetics of the plants. The fact that all that shit from Monsanto and all that. I mean, there's a reason why they paid that one fellow. Like, I mean, the dude he had cancer. He's gonna die. I mean, and they settled for like 82 million. I mean, it went to his kids or whoever. I don't know where it went, but and that's no big deal to Monsanto. It's just like these drug companies, right? I mean, like if you want me to get into that, and how many billions? Like Pfizer had to pay out $2.3 billion, right? And I don't have that list up in front of me right now. I had it. Maybe we'll get into that on the next podcast. I was going to bring that up. But unfortunately, my system is kind of taking a little bit of a dump today. Maybe we'll bring that up later. I'll write that one down. But that's the other thing too. You got Big Pharma, and you got Monsanto, and you got to wonder. Okay, you gotta question these things. Okay, like I look at like my great grandfather. The man smoked cigarettes, from what I understand, until like since the time he was like 8. He lived to be a ripe old age, but he always rolled his own smoke. He drank wine, homemade wine. He liked Mogan David, which is, from what I understand, I think that's a Jewish wine. I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that. But the man lived to be fairly old. Yeah. Did he die of emphysema? Certainly did. But he didn't get it at 45, 50 years old. He didn't get lung cancer at that age. I mean, and then all of a sudden, it was like the 50s hit, right? So we get out of World War II. And then all of a sudden we've got this country hit a big, there's a big escalation there, because, we got all the women back here. They're working in the factories. They're playing baseball, pumping out all this, that's the military industrial complex. And if you go back and look at Eisenhower's speech about the military industrial complex when he left office, how many of you people have watched that? I'd be willing to bet that Charlie Caperton's watched it. I'd be willing to bet that I can't think of many other people that probably have. Maybe a few, not many. I mean, you got to understand your history to understand where you're at today. And that's kind of what this whole podcast thing I'm doing, it's not about me, right? It's not about me. I'm not sitting here doing this for me. Quite frankly, I'm fine sitting out there and I miss being out in my shop more and not building shit because I like doing that, I mean, I'm a creator. I'm an artist at heart. I mean, those types of things that I can focus on, I like a lot more than doing this, but I feel like that this is something that I need to do. Could be right, could be wrong, but you know what? I've never done anything like this before that I felt like right about, and I've been beating my ass in construction my whole life or playing sports or whatever. And I'm getting to be broke down. I mean, I'm still in decent shape. I mean, I'll be 46 coming up here in a little bit. And, I'm still keeping it about 185 and, 6'1", 185. It ain't bad. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been up there at 280. Been there too. Eating them cookies, cakes, and pies, as old Sticky Ricky used to say. But anyway, folks, there's a lot more to this than what you're thinking. It's a game that both sides are playing. And at the bottom, at the ass end of the whole thing, right here. This is my point. This is where I'm coming from. Is like at the end of the day, at the end of all this shit, there's enough out there for everybody. And I'm not trying to say that you can't be wealthy, but what the fuck is Jeff Bezos or fucking Elon Musk gonna do with? I mean, Elon Musk is what? He's around 300 billion. I can't even fathom spending $1 million. I mean, I could, I suppose, but 300 billion. Homelessness ends with $20 billion. Our government can't fucking fund that, but we can sure as fuck fund that much money, 37, 40 billion, to go over and blow brown people up while we watch people in this country. Now, if we're going to sit here and we're going to talk borders and we're going to talk national pride and proud to be an American and this and that, then how can you be proud to have that many people that are fucking homeless and destitute on our streets, people that are shitting in the streets, people that don't know where their next meal is coming from, people that can't get their kids to school, people living in fucking tents on Skid Row? How are you going to be proud about that? I ask you. So the next time you hear that song, my request is that you turn that fucking thing off, because there isn't a goddamn thing around here to be proud about. The only thing that I had to be proud about, the only thing I think that any of us have to be proud about is the fact that maybe we look out for one another, those of us that do. And it's getting to be slimmer and slimmer by the day. We got to take care of each other. And we're roped into this system, this monetary system, this fiat currency. It's bullshit, people. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. You know, I've read the Bible probably more than most people, and I'm not a Christian. I'll tell you that right now. I'm a fucking pagan. All right, I'm an Odinist. I'm a pagan. But I've read the damn thing. And I've read the Quran, and I've read just about every religious book that is out there that I can read, because I've always just wanted to have knowledge, have an understanding. And maybe my understanding is skewed and fucked up, which a lot of people think it might be, but maybe they think it is because theirs is too. And I'm fine with somebody telling me that I'm screwed up, but you know what? We are in this system right now. This system, this money. Okay, think about this. Right. Every day, what is your biggest stress factor throughout your day? What's the biggest stress factor at the end of the month? Making ends meet. Paying that bank that loaned you that money that they did never even have. Right. I want you to look into this. Let me pull this up. I don't have my iPad out here, and I don't have my other screen up. The man's name was Jerome Daly, and this was a case against Minnesota, and I believe it went federal. The man got foreclosed on, and he made the argument that there was no consideration. First National Bank of Montgomery versus Daly. Jerome Daly's disbarment and criminal convictions. Okay. Credit River Township, Scott County, Minnesota. It was tried before Justice of the Peace of Minnesota in 1968. And the decision in that case is sometimes cited by opponents of the United States banking system. Now, you understand that what we live in is it's a fractional reserve system. Now, I know I come back to this all the time. Fractional reserve. Okay, you understand what that means. I don't think you do. Some of you do. Some of you cats out there that I know that are on your game, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. Most of you don't know what I'm fucking talking about here. You go in and you take that loan out from the bank for your house. It ain't real money that you're getting. What they're doing is they're handing you a check. But there's no money coming out of their bank. It's going to the next place. They just pass it on down. And by doing that, by loaning that money out to you, Guess what they do? They have to keep the 10%. So what they do is they put another 90% on there as what they can loan out again. And they're not giving you anything. They're giving you a shitty piece of paper. Chances are you're in the bank where you do bank. And so you go and you just put it right back in there. But here's the kicker. Interest. Now, where's the interest? There wasn't even any money to start with. There wasn't any money printed. Okay, people, stop saying that. That fucking shit drives me crazy. There was nothing printed. This last couple years through this COVID shit, it's been at least $8 trillion, at least, and that's being modest. $8 trillion. Okay, you understand what 8 trillion is? 8, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3. Can we see that? Can we see that? Where'd that go? A dollar ain't worth shit. It's worth nothing. It's a shitty piece of paper. The only reason it has any value is because we have confidence in it for some reason. And I don't know why we do, because I've got no confidence in it. And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't have any confidence in your fucking banks, because they're a bunch of bullshit fucking liars. And I'm not talking about your tellers. I'm not even talking about your loan officers, because half of them don't even understand what the fuck is going on. But your bank presidents, people of that nature, they know what the fuck they're doing. They know what's up. That's why they're living in the houses they live in. That's why they got the pull that they got. That's why they drive around in what they got to drive around in. And that's why they do what they do. And they're fucking sellout slaves, as far as I'm concerned. Bank president has done about as much for me as a fucking politician ever has. And I'd imagine the same for you. And if they have done something for you, there's been a contingency on the end of it, right? That's what interest is, right? Like, I borrow this money. I need this money to, like, have a house for my family. I need this money so I can have a vehicle that's going to break down as soon as the warranty's up. Isn't that kind of weird? How many people notice that the warranty on your vehicle goes out right before your vehicle breaks down? You don't think that's engineered? I mean, I ain't trying to get conspiratorial on this shit, but this is a real deal, right? Like, okay, let's take light bulbs, for example, and you can look this up. The big light bulb producers back in the day, Philips was one of them, GE was one of them, and I'm trying to remember that there was 4 big ones. And they had started to develop the technology on light bulbs to where they were lasting longer and longer and longer. But what they realized is that the sales were going down and down and down because people didn't have to buy light bulbs as much, right? So they all got together and they had a conference. And they said, here's the deal. You can't make a light bulb that lasts more than 1,000 hours. And if you consistently continue to do so to such an extent, you're going to get fined by this organization. They all entered into a business agreement together, right? And so basically what they were doing was they were engineering light bulbs that were going to go out in 1,000 hours when they could have gone. I mean, there's one in a firehouse. I want to say it's in Chicago, somewhere in the Midwest. This light bulb's been on since like 1905, and they've never turned it off. And it's still on, which is crazy. It's like the longest running light bulb ever. So they were at that point where they were able to do that back in the day, right? I mean, they could make tires that would stay on your car forever. They could make a car that would last you forever. Why would they do that? It's obsolescence, right? You need to think about these things. I'm telling people it's time to wake up and think about these things that you don't think about, that you just take as truth on a daily basis. Because what we live in is a world full of fucking lies. And it's run by the oligarchs. It's run by these people in power that just want to stay in power. And for some reason, they think that they're going to die and take it with them. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand what a man with $300 billion is doing not taking care of fucking homeless people. I mean, if I had $300 billion, I'd damn sure bet I'd be like, okay, who do I write the fucking check to? Where can I go and fucking get these people some fucking help? Get these people in off the streets. Get them into a doctor. you know, sit down, I mean, get these people, you know, on track to at least living a good and decent life. And here's the thing. I mean, we've got everything is, I mean, we're coming upon the age of automation. So what are we going to do when automation really kicks in? Because it's coming. AI is coming. Elon Musk is on the cusp of Neuralink. He's got a car that dances, for Christ's sake. Anybody ever drive a Tesla? I've driven one. They're fucking sick. They're insane. And it's insane to get in a vehicle and you just have a little key fob and you walk away from it. You get a certain distance, it locks. You get a certain distance, close to it, it unlocks. You jump in. There's no ignition. There's no transmission. And the thing is the fastest thing you ever driven. Trust me, they are fast. When I rented one a couple summers ago, and I mean, it was ridiculous. I was like, this is just like a Prius. I stomped on that thing out on the I-5, man, and I tell you what, I threw my head back in the seat. I was like, ooh. I mean, that's what's coming. And those things can get your ass from, I mean, people in California, I mean, they're made so they have to have some kind of pressure on the wheel, right? People are stuffing like tennis balls or oranges, like, you got the wheel and you got the little, cavity right there, like that, stuffing tennis balls, oranges, shit like that, punching in their destination, laying back, falling asleep. The car takes them right to work. They're sleeping, going down the road. That's where we're at. I mean, Elon, he's talking about, putting tunnels in LA. You just go layers and layers and layers of vacuum tunnels. Drop down your car, vacuum, gone. Pops you back up to the surface right there where you need to go, and you're to work. Alleviates the traffic. So what is going to happen at that point? I mean, where's the jobs going to be? I mean, AI is already part of us. Look at us. Look at what we're doing right now. This conversation we're having. This is AI. I mean, look at this thing. I got this thing sitting right here, right? You tell me I'm not connected to this thing. I'm a cyborg, basically. I don't have to be, though. That's the difference. And that's what I try to tell my kid. Because, I can still go out and do things. I can still fix things. I can still, take care of my vehicles, even if it takes me a while. And it's been tough lately because I can't get any parts. Because we got boats bobbing around out there in the harbor, and we don't have the truck drivers to haul the shit off. And then, like I showed that video the other night, we've got people are just jumping on the trains when they slow down in LA, and they're just popping fucking doors and just fucking throwing all that shit out. I mean, look at it up. Look at what's going on around you. That's all I'm encouraging you to do. Look it up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I see things that are happening right now and have been for quite some time that are just very disturbing. And I think my whole wake-up call came in like 2003 when George Bush Jr. decided that we were going to just go fucking bomb Iraq. I think that was the first point in time where I fucking kind of woke up. And I was still a youngster at that time. I didn't really know what was up. I thought I did, but then I saw that. And I mean, to watch what was going on to those people, and everybody wants to say this and that about people from other places because they don't know them. But like I've said, you didn't choose where you were born. And here in the United States, you didn't have nothing to do with where you're at. So the whole nationalism thing, the whole proud to be an American thing, it holds no weight. The only thing you can be proud of is who you are. Okay? You can't sit there. I mean, what are we proud of? Slavery? Genocide? Wiping out Native Americans? We're proud of that. Proud of having a nation that was, initially built on the backs of slaves. And then the railroads that were built on the backs of slaves, be it Irish, Chinese, black. Proud of that. You're proud of the fact that you live in the suburbs. You got 2.3 kids. You work a job that you're not happy at. You got college debt you got to fucking repay. You got a mortgage loan that you got to repay. The interest rates are going to start going up. Your dollar is going down in value. You're fucking sitting there struggling every month to pay the bills. You don't know how you're going to put groceries on the fucking table. You're proud of that? Real proud, huh? I'll tell you what, it's time to wake up because you've been lied to for a long time. It's been a big lie. Are we proud of this shit right here? I'm nobody. Like I said, I am nobody. They've taken me down 2 times. The second time I won. I went back at them and I won. Because you know what? I tell you what. I'm just that kind of dude. You piss me off, I'm going to come at you. And I don't care who it is. I don't give a fuck. I don't lay down. I don't fucking cave. I mean, everybody was like, there's no way you're going to win this thing. They came back and they were like, yeah, you're right. It's because when I say things and when I cite numbers, when I bring up statistics and shit like that, yeah, I've got an opinion that goes alongside of it, but the numbers that I bring up are legit. I don't just throw out fake garbage. But I mean, my hope is that everybody else maybe try and get on the same type of page. Like, you know, like pull yourself away from your nonsense. Pull yourself away from the mundane existence that you're living in, and ask yourself the question, what the fuck are you really doing? Like, what did you do? I ask myself that all the time. I mean, I wish I'd have never, I mean, you know, there's a lot of good things that came from going to college. I mean, you know, and I was there at a time when critical thought was still actually a class. I mean, I had a class called critical thought. Now, the government tells you not to think critically about it. Don't think critically about it. Just do what we say. Do what the cookie elf tells you. Put your mask on. Put your other mask on. Better put your other mask on, too. And I'll go over that number one more time, because this is a legit number, so they can't put me down on this. But the COVID virus, it's anywhere between 60 and 140,000 nanometers. Okay. All right. So let's do an example of that. All right. So let's make an average, right? So 60, 140, we'll call it 100,000, right? So here we go. Mike's doing his drawings, right? Okay. So we'll go doop. So there's our thing. All right. So we're wearing around an N95 mask, right? About the best mask you can get. And what most people are wearing are these cloth pieces of shit that aren't even close to the N95. Now, where I have a little bit of expertise in this is that I've spent years and years and years working around VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds, which come from spraying lacquers, epoxies, any kind of solvent-based material, any kind of synthetic material like that, okay, coatings, right? I've been around it for a long time. And quite frankly, the only way that I can walk out of my shop at the end of the day without being whacked out is number one, okay? I have my soul patch, right? I'll be clean shaven, okay? Number one. All right. So any of you dudes out there that are wearing a mask around, first of all, okay, let's get down to this, okay? Any of you motherfucking hipster fucking weirdos with your phony beard thingies, whatever you got going, if you got facial hair on your lip, around here on your chin, you're not getting any protection out of that mask, okay? All right, period. The only way that I know I get protection, right? And the VOCs, they're larger than these particles. All right? These things are like, if you were to take like a piece of your hair and split it into 1,000 parts, that's the size of this virus. It's that small. Okay? So then you go, all right, so here. All right, I got the same card here, sorry. But we're going to look at that little zero right there, okay? So that is our CoV2. Okay? And then, all right, if we're walking around with the N95, right? Okay, the pores on those things, we're talking 300 nanometers, okay? Here we go. So the middle circle, that's your CoV2. The outer circle, that's your N95, okay? And then there's your $8 trillion. Where's that at? Where's it at? Did your $1,200 check cover that? Do the math. Do the math. Do your homework. Follow the money. That's all I got to say. Follow the fucking money, because I tell you what, there's one constant in life. There's one thing that will never lie to you, and that's follow the money. If you follow that, it's never going to lead you astray. It might lead you to some places that you don't want to be. It might lead you to some places that you don't want to fucking even know about, but it's going to fucking tell you the truth. Myself, I want to know the truth. I mean, I think that means more to me than anything. It's truth. I don't want to be lied to. I don't want to live my life in a fucking game. I don't want to be fucking playing fucking Jumanji my whole life, you know? I've had enough fucking Jumanji. You guys go play Jumanji if you want to. I don't know what game it is I'm playing. I'm trying not to play games. I don't know. I just, just want to live life and be decent to people. Have people be decent to me. And go out with a smile on my face. Maybe that's a poop dream. I just don't get it. There's enough there for all of us. And if we all had what we needed, imagine what we could do. You know how many people there have been in recorded history of mankind that dropped their dreams, their aspirations, their goals, their gifts, because they had to go work a job. Do you know why people in the service industry only get paid $2-3 an hour? Look that one up. I'm not going to give it to you. Hit me up and let me know if you know why people that work as servers in a restaurant, I don't know what they make in Wyoming anymore. It's like $2.50. I don't even think $3 an hour. You let me know where that came about. All right. That's my homework assignment that I'm giving to you. So you hit in the comments. You tell me where that came from and why it's still in existence. And I'll shoot you something. You get a T-shirt, hat, something like that coming your way. And I'm gonna have those out here shortly. And all you good people out there that I've got the list of the 50 first subscribers to the channel. I'm going to shoot you guys all a free T-shirt for the show. They're going to be dope. They're going to be cool. You're going to like them. And if you're listening for the first time, do me a favor. I'm just a nobody, but you know what? If you just give me a thumbs up. If you like what you heard, if you heard anything that gives you any value, give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. You got nothing to lose. There's no obligation to it. I might just come up on your feed. I mean, maybe you don't like what I'm saying. Maybe you do. I don't care one way or another, to tell you the truth. I hope that you do, though. I hope that you're getting something out of this, and I really do hope that it. That's the only thing that I got in mind with doing this, is just trying to get some information out there to people. Just, get people start thinking about these things, and don't be so blind. Don't walk through this life so numb and stupid, because it's too short. And we can make it so much better on ourselves. We can have such a better time. I always think about that, the Matrix, the second one. I don't know if you guys remember that. There was like that scene where they're all like they're partying and everybody's just jumping. It's like, you've all been there. That moment at a concert or whatever where you're just jumping around and you're looking at anybody around you and you just love everybody and you're just having so much fun. That's what life is. Those moments when you get those chills. Those chills are the good stuff, when you get those goosebumps on your arm, you're like, oh, damn, this is what it's all about. That's why I like going to concerts and doing the type of things that I do. That's why I love going out riding my dirt bike. I like snowboarding and shit like that, because it gives you those moments of elation that are completely different than your day. Come on, who's happy with what they're doing today at work? Bueller? I don't think anybody is. I'm not even happy right now talking to all you fucks. Just kidding. I love every fucking single, each and every one of you that took the time to listen to this shit. And thank you, Charlie, for coming on today. And I look forward to talking to you again, brother. K-Pook, you're next, motherfucker. And Josh Robertson, I got to get back to you. We're going to have him on. Summer, I'd like to get you back on again. And anybody else, hit me up. I get a lot of messages. I'm trying to keep up with it, but it's just me. And so it's difficult when I've got 400 and some odd texts and 3,000 emails to go through and shit like that. But just know I'm trying to do my best to stay up with y'all and keep my fucking self sane, because life's been a motherfucker to me too. But what do you do? Just roll with it, right? So with that in mind, y'all keep rolling with it. I'm going to bounce out of here. It's been an hour and a half. And I said, shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Broward County Sheriff's Department. Charlie said you guys are listening. So if you are, you guys keep doing it, man. You know what? I'm an ex-con, but hey, I got nothing but love for you fellas. I've seen what you guys are doing down there, and I think you guys are doing a good job in a time when things are pretty fucked up. So, you know, from this old ex-con up in Wyoming, much love. You know, I'll keep giving you guys shouts out. Hey, and I tell you what, any of you cats down there at the Broward County Sheriff's Department, you want to come on here and you want to have a conversation, you want to talk about what's going on, I invite you. Okay, I'd love to do that. Seriously, I'll have a conversation with anybody. I don't give a shit. I don't care I don't care where you're coming from. Seriously, this is all about, you know, it's all about opening up to different experiences, learning where people are coming from, and it's about love and compassion for each other. That's the main thing. Love one another. So, and doing no harm. At the end of the day, that's it. So I'm gonna take you out with that. Do no harm. Love y'all. Be good or be good at. Peace out.